What's up guys? Ethan from Mogo.g here, and today we're going to talk about a rare and unique property type in Singapore, the Shophouse. So shophouses first appeared in Singapore when Sir Stamford Raffles annexed the land on the island into smaller and more regular lots to facilitate trade and development. We are here in the Boat Quay area located in the heart of Singapore's central business district, where there are a multitude of shophouse clusters developed in the early days of Singapore's history due to its close proximity to the Singapore River, which was at that point Singapore's main trade hub. So this CBD area that we're currently in is often associated with tall skyscrapers that are home to many of Singapore's major financial and government institutions. You can actually find a bunch of conserved shophouses in this area with businesses that cater to the people that often visit this area. So examples of these people would be people that work here, as well as tourists who like to visit this area. So some of these businesses that operate here are bars and restaurants. The first shophouses in Singapore were actually built by Singapore's first generation of pioneers who bought the land from the East India Company and then sold it to Chinese, Indian and Malayan immigrants. These shophouses were built by architects and builders from the early to mid-1800s and actually possess many key architectural and cultural elements reminiscent of that era. So some of the key architectural characteristics of shophouses are their narrow and deep floor plans, as well as their multi-storied and terrace design. They're often connected by a 5-foot way, which was traditionally used by street businessmen to conduct activities such as street haircuts or the trading of used wares or like fruits and vegetables. So today they are used by modern businessmen. An example would be restaurant owners who actually convert the space into an alfresco dining area. This is a fantastic example of how a shophouse's design elements can be repurposed and used, contextualized in today's modern day and age. We're here at the Keong Saik neighbourhood at the intersection of Tanjong Pagar and Chinatown in the heart of Singapore's central business district. In contrast to the rest of the area, this neighbourhood is actually made up mainly of conserved shophouses dating back to the early days of Singapore's history. In the olden days, this used to be a bustling centre full of trade and activity, but is known today as more of a chill or quaint area populated mainly by cafes, restaurants and bars who have actually found a home to operate in some of these old shophouses. This is a fantastic example of the Singapore government's plan and effort to conserve these neighbourhoods and keep parts of our history and culture alive today. We are here in the Bukit Pasoh neighbourhood. It is extremely hot out, so I thought it would be a fantastic idea to grab a drink and actually tell you guys about the 3 types of shophouses that you can actually purchase in Singapore. So the shophouses in Singapore are classified by the Urban Redevelopment Authority, or URA, into 3 main categories, being residential, commercial as well as mixed use. They can be seen on the URA's master plan map and colour-coded into 3 individual colours. So shophouses meant for pure residential usage are in light brown zones, similar to HDBs, condos and landed properties. Much like most landed property, only Singaporeans or PRs are allowed to purchase these residential shophouses, with foreigners only being allowed to purchase them with special permission granted by the Singapore Land Authority or SLA's Land Dealings Approval Unit or LDAU. These shophouses can be found all around the country, from places like Blair Road and River Valley all the way to the east in Katong and Joo Chiat. So pink zone shophouses are designated for mixed use, where you have to run your business on the first floor and nowhere else. Or you can convert the entire building for residential use only. Special permission must be granted by the authorities. An important caveat to take note of is that, similar to landed properties, foreigners are not allowed to purchase these properties bar special permission from the LDAU. So they are found in the prime areas such as Blair Hill, Emerald Hill, as well as Cane Hill, as well as the secondary settlements of Katong and Joo Chiat. So lastly, we have the dark blue zone shophouses intended for commercial use only. These shophouses have the same buying and ownership terms as regular commercial property and can be found in the historic districts of Boat Quay, Chinatown, Kampong Glam, Katong, and Little India. So most shophouses in Singapore are actually considered commercial property, meaning that those interested to invest in one can avoid the ABSD rates which have recently skyrocketed in April 2023. This is especially lucrative for foreigners who have to pay up to 60% ABSD for their first residential property, making these commercial shophouses a fantastic alternative for investment. So there are about 6,500 conserved shophouses in Singapore. And since these properties are no longer being built, their rareness and uniqueness makes it such that their value actually increases greatly over time. We're actually in District 9, the prime area of Emerald Hill Road, just off Orchard Road, where we can see clusters of conserved shophouses actually being used mainly for residential use, although we do see some businesses that operate in this area. As compared to most other landed properties in Singapore, which are located within residential neighbourhoods or planning zones, shophouse districts are commonly located in prime or central areas, meaning that people that live in a shophouse get to enjoy the exclusivity and privacy of living in a landed home, while also enjoying the convenience that living in a central area provides. Shophouses also make for a fantastic commercial property. One can expect a shophouse district to be well populated with businesses and foot traffic. Investors looking to purchase a shophouse can choose one in a district full of complementary businesses to increase their exposure and business opportunities. More so, having your storefront visible to both foot and vehicle traffic gets you much more customers and exposure as compared to having a store indoors, such as inside a mall. To learn more about shophouses' value as a property investment, I consulted a friend of mine, Nicholas Mark, who has over 20 years of experience as a property market consultant. Hi Nicholas, so we're here in Apiary, a beautiful shophouse along Neil Road. And actually, just taking a stroll outside, I see lots of similar shophouses that are bustling with activity from day to night. Could you tell us more about the demand for shophouses in this area?
Well, shophouses, especially commercial shophouses, are popular among some property investors, and especially shophouses that are located in the downtown area or in popular the dining areas. They tend to be easier to rent out, especially to F&B operators. And secondly, shophouses, especially freehold ones, are good store of value. In the established shophouse locations, there is actually a lack of vacant land for future development of shophouses. That means the government and developers are unable to build more shophouses in some of these established areas. Thirdly is that the buyers of shophouses, especially purely commercial ones, do not need to pay ABSD, the additional buyer stamp duty. So before the pandemic in 2019, an estimated $916 million of shophouses was transacted. And 2 years later, after the pandemic restrictions was lifted, the total transactions of shophouses in Singapore more than doubled to $1.9 billion. So one of the key sources of demand for shophouses are high net worth individuals, as well as family offices they have set up here in Singapore. And some of these family offices, especially from Asia, they are interested to invest in real estate, and to avoid paying the high ABSD rates, they look for commercial properties. And shophouses are one of the preferred type of commercial properties for them.
So could you care to tell me more about how the prices of shophouses have changed over the past few years, especially with that big lull in the property market during the pandemic period?
Well, shophouses are like any other properties. Their values depends on a few factors. Number one is the location of the shophouse. Number two is the size of the shophouse. And number three is the allowable use. And shophouses, because some of them are used for F&B or shops, the orientation and frontage of the shophouses is also important.
Yep.
And lastly is the condition and maintenance cost of the shophouse. Now, typically over the past year, the prices of shophouses can range from between $3 million to as much as $30 million or more. Take for example, in May this year, a shophouse in the Boat Quay area was sold for about $30 million. But over the last 12 months, the most expensive shophouse transacted is a large conservation shophouse located in the Lavender area. And that shophouse was reportedly sold for over $71 million in July last year. Now, these are some of the more exceptional cases. Typically, about 80% of the shophouses are transacted between $2.5 million and $11 million each. Now, shophouse prices can also vary depending on their users, whether they are pure commercial shophouses or they are a mix of residential and commercial use. And like for example, some shophouses are used for office space, and the prices of office space has suffered a 15% slump during the pandemic. Since the end of last year, it has started to recover, and over the last 9 months or so, it has recovered by roughly about 2%.
So now let's touch on how shophouses perform as a commercial investment. How is their performance in the rental market?
The leasing demand for shophouses has recovered ever since the pandemic lockdown was lifted. So since the end of 2020, the rentals have been rising. So over the last 12 months, the overall rental rates of shophouses has increased by about 12.5% to about $6.20 per square foot per month. And in the first half of this year, the most expensive area for shophouses is in the Orchard Road area, where the median monthly rental for shophouses has increased to about $21.33 per square foot. The cheapest rentals for shophouses, interestingly, is recorded in the Jurong West area at just $1.43.
Wow.
But I think that's a bit of an outlier. I think a more representative, cheap median rental for shophouses is in the Clementi area over the first half of this year, which is roughly at about $3.27 per square foot per month.
Are there any caveats or special things to take note of if someone is interested in purchasing one?
Well, it's not all a bed of roses. Shophouses, typically one of the challenges is that there's a lack of car park space, because some of these shophouses, especially in the older parts of Singapore, the more established shophouse areas such as Chinatown, Boat Quay, Little India, they were planned over 100 years ago when car ownership was something that is very rare. A second challenge is that in some locations, the government actually restricts the number of shophouses that can be operated as restaurants that can serve alcohol. And the reason is to maintain public order.
Based on your expertise, what is your outlook on the shophouse market for 2023 and onwards?
Ever since the transactions of shophouses reached a peak in 2021 at $1.9 billion, it has actually come off a bit. Last year, roughly about $1.6 billion worth of shophouses was transacted, and this year I estimated that we might only see about $1.4 billion of transactions in shophouses. And this drop in transactions is not because shophouses have become less popular, but rather because of a few reasons. And one of them is that there's actually a lack of shophouses available for sale. And secondly is that as the prices and popularity of shophouses increase, some of the owners are raising their asking prices for shophouses, and hence there is a mismatch between the expectations of buyers and sellers, and as a result there were less transactions of shophouses. And furthermore, in the current high interest rates environment, it also increased the financing costs for buying shophouses. So as a result, some investors are not that keen to keep on chasing after the prices of shophouses. In addition, the government is unlikely to cut ABSD imposed on residential properties. So for property investors who want to avoid paying the ABSD, they will still look to buy commercial properties, and shophouses are one of the more popular types of commercial properties. So shophouse rentals have been on the rise. And I think that for the next 12 months, it can still continue to rise by between 8% to 12%, which means that they will pose a very good investment propositions for some investors. So on the whole, I think that the shophouse market is likely to remain healthy as long as prices do not run away too high.
While shophouses are a fantastic investment, those that are looking to invest in one should be aware that they are required to maintain the facade and overall look of these buildings to preserve their cultural meaning and purpose. However, those that do not mind uptaking this challenge are rewarded with a rare and unique property type that is flexible and performs well in the market. One can also say that they own a piece of Singapore's history. Thank you for exploring the world of shophouses with us. This has been Ethan from Mogu.sg, and we'll see you in the next one.